It's been a while. Oh, recording just... Okay. Hi, it's Lyra. It's been a while. It's been a long time, actually. It's probably been close to a year. I've been really busy with school and just, living life and all that stuff. But I was thinking about it, and I thought maybe it's about time to make another video. I recently had my legal gender marker updated, so now I'm not only legally Lyra, but also legally female. So that's that, but to the point, I wanted to make a quick video. I'm not necessarily going to be back to making videos regularly or anything, but I did want to make one because something occurred to me that is really important, which is that within the community of people who are trans, we, I think, have a great need to hear as many different stories about sort of the process of figuring it out for yourself. Not exactly the coming out process, but sort of the figuring it out for yourself process, because I think most of us know more or less how coming out goes. It either goes well or it goes bad every single time you have to come out to a new person, because it goes on and on and on. So I don't really want to talk about that as much as I want to talk about the process of figuring it out. I feel like there is a huge amount of pressure, particularly from the critics and the skeptics, for us to have just always known, and just it's always been 100% certain, and the only thing that we needed was just the right moment, and then just poof, there it is, and we're 100% certain, and we never have any doubts, and all that good stuff. If that is the case for you, that is awesome. I envy your conviction. I really do. But the fact of the matter is that for myself, and I think for a lot of people who are trans, and maybe for sexualities other than being straight as well, I don't think it's always that simple. In fact, I think a lot of the time it's not clear at all. You go through your life and you don't have a clear idea because you don't have a language to describe it. It's just not there in the society. I mean, more so now, especially with the advent of things like Tumblr. But even still, not always, and even if the language is there, you don't necessarily know that you have access to it. You don't necessarily know that you can use it for yourself. And so you don't have the language to describe it, so you don't necessarily have that conviction. And then when you do have the language to describe it, you have to go through a process to figure out that, yes, it is okay to apply that language to yourself. And once you figure out that it might be okay, then you have to go through another whole process of figuring out if you should, or if you want to, or what that even means for you specifically. It's a long process for a lot of people, I think. And for some people, it's an instantaneous process, and everything in between. And I just wanted to take some time to talk about that. So I wanted to tell you guys about how I figured out that I was trans. I'll try my best to be brief. The short version is that when I was about 9 years old, I had the first conscious thought of, I want to be a woman. And lucky me, it turned out I am one, but I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know that was how it worked. So when I told my parents that I wanted to be a woman, their response was not, "Oh, lucky you, sweetheart, you actually are, if that's how you feel." They said, no, you don't. No, you don't. Okay, I guess I don't, because I didn't want to upset them. I didn't want to contradict them. They were my parents, and I was trying very hard to be a good kid back then. Not so much anymore. But back then, I really, really wanted to be a good kid, and that meant doing what my parents said. And moreover, I just knew that I wouldn't be able to go along with it. I mean, I wouldn't be able to pursue the interest because they had made it clear that that was not okay. So I did everything in my power to repress it, and I basically put it out of my mind, even though things kept happening. I remember that when I was in my teen years, I started thinking about what it would be like to be with someone as a girl. I thought about being someone's girlfriend. Most of my fantasies took some form relating to that. I wanted to be included in female groups without really knowing why. And so having no better idea, I ended up just thinking that this was all some kind of complicated hatred of masculinity in myself. And I just turned it into a sort of man-hating kind of a thing, which is not entirely true. I don't really have an issue with men in the abstract. Certainly not. It's just that I'm not one. So it was very, very painful to be rejected from groups of other women on the basis of my masculinity, because that was false, but nobody knew it. And it took many years. It took getting to college. It took having to experiment with dressing as a woman and finding out how that felt, and having a whole bunch of my friends get really mad at me for doing it and being like, oh, Lyra, you're just doing that to fit in. Yeah, you're just doing that to fit in with the theater kids. Like, really? I'm dressing as the opposite gender to fit in. That makes sense. Okay. But I had to go through all of that, and it took many, many years, and it wasn't until I was 24 that I was finally able to stop running from it and just accept that that was the truth. I was a woman. I am a woman, and there's no other way around it, no matter what my parents had to say about it in the past, no matter how scary the idea of being a trans woman is, because it is scary. At least it was scary to me. That was one of the reasons why it took me so long. I discovered the language when I was in college, but I was too scared to just apply it to myself because I knew the stigma and I had internalized so much of that stigma. I think it would be entirely accurate to say that I was pretty transphobic just because I'd seen so many horrible things, and I knew intellectually that that couldn't really be right. But the messages are so pervasive, and they get under your skin, and they get in your head. And I'm still working through some of them, I think, in much the same way that many women have to work through the sexist images that are all around us. There's a lot we're up against. And so I guess basically what I'm just trying to say is sometimes it takes time, and sometimes it's really scary, and sometimes you're not certain because it seems like such a giant task. Like, how could this possibly be true? It's so big, it's so scary, and I'm just not the kind of person who experiences those things, right? Well, maybe you are, and that's okay. You don't have to have that kind of conviction. That's what I'm saying. It's great if you do, and the more conviction you have, the safer you'll be in protecting yourself from the hate that people are going to throw at you. I mean, that's true. That's unfortunate. But if you have a supportive community, then you shouldn't need that level of conviction. It's okay to be questioning. When I started out, I told people, I think I'm trans. Please indulge me while I try this for myself, because I need to. And luckily, in my case, people did, at least the people who mattered. And I was able to learn a lot from it, and eventually I was able to feel confident enough. And I still have doubts sometimes. They're flickering, they're brief. And I'm always able to come back to the knowledge that this is better for me than anything was before. But there are doubts sometimes, and that's okay. And that's just something I wanted to share with all of you. So I hope that this was helpful, and please leave anything that you'd like to share, words of support, words of wisdom, your own coming out stories or figuring it out stories, whatever you'd like, down in the comments below. Thanks, guys. You're all wonderful. Bye.